Hello guys. So in this video we will take a deeper look into the attribute table. So now you know how to open the attribute table. You can right click on any layer and say attribute table, and now you have your attribute table. So let's go through all the options we have right here. So here we have a tab for the table we just opened. If we open another one, you will see that you will have another tab right next to it. So let's go back here, and here we will go through all the options here. The first option we have here is to add a new field, and when you click on add a new field, you will see this table showing you all the fields inside your table and what is the option for each one of them. So the first column here, it asks you, do you want to make this field visible or not? And if you hide it, so for example, let's hide all these fields here and we save it, it's not gonna show on the attribute table, and it's not gonna show when you do identify for a certain feature. So for example, here we are working on the Orange County cities. If I click on any Orange County city, you will see that you only see the fields that is selected here, and anything else is not selected. It's not going to show anywhere else, and you cannot edit it as well. So the visible will allow you to define if you want to have this field visible or not. The next thing here is read only, and read only here means that no one can edit this feature. If you select read only, you cannot edit it, and no one can edit it unless you come here and you change it again. And as you see here, by default, when you create a new feature class, you have the object ID, you have the shape, you have shape length, you have shape area, automatically created fields for you. And it's great here because you cannot change the name, and it automatically have a read only option for the object ID, shape length, and shape area. The next thing here, we have the alias, and as we said before, when you create a new field and you give it a name, the name cannot have spaces, but the alias can have space. So if I change this one and I add the space right here, I can do that, but I cannot do it for the name. When I press the space on my keyboard, it doesn't apply. And also, you cannot start your field name with a number. It has to start with a character. But here, for the alias, you can define it however you want. So that's for the column area here. Here the data type, and here when you create a new field, if I click right here and say new field, I can choose the data type to be short or long, and this is numeric numbers that doesn't have any decimal numbers. Float and double is used for decimal numbers. Date, you will have a date format. Text is just a text. blub is used if you have any attachments or you have any images you want to create a field for it, so it can save bit information, not just text or numbers. And here you can choose GUID or the global universal ID, and here it will have the format for the global IDs if you enable the global ID for your feature class. And here you can also choose, I want this to be data type raster, and it will host raster images for you. And here you have the option to make this field allow null or not, or you can change it to not allow null. For example, the object ID cannot have null values. It always must have a number and a unique number that cannot be duplicated, and you cannot leave this attribute empty or null. And every time you do any changes, you can click save to save your changes. And as you see here, once we click save, you cannot change the data type after you save your new field, because it might have any data and you cannot change the type for it. You need to remove this field and then create a new field and maybe copy the data to it. And here you have the highlight option, and highlight will make your field highlighted other than the other fields. So for example, if we want to focus our work on the average house price, we can change this to be highlighted, and when we click save and we go back to our table, you will see that our column or our field will be highlighted just to help us focus on certain fields and focus on certain data. So go back here, and here we have the number format. So you can change the format of your field or the data inside your field however you want. So for all the numbers, we have in numeric, but also we can change it to currency, or we can change it to any other options, like for example, a percentage, rate, fraction, scientific, direction, angle, custom. And custom will allow you to design your own data in a certain way. Like for example, if you have your field having phone numbers, you can have this format for a phone number, or if you want your phone number to look like this, you can have it like that. And also here we have the angle, and the angle will allow you to save an angle value or in decimal degrees or any other units. And if you want to have decimal numbers and how many decimal numbers you want to have in your number. And alignment right to the left. show 1000 separator, pad with zeros, show plus signs. And the formatting here is very similar to how you can format your fields in Excel sheet, but also you have an extra things that ArcGIS gives you, which, for example, here we have the option to create a direction. So here you can choose what is the direction, and you can save direction values in this field. Also, you have scientific to show scientific notations, you have fractions, you have rate, and we have currency, and this is the one we chose for this field because we are saving the average house price, which is in dollars. So let's cancel this one. And here, if you created the domain for the geodatabase, and we have a separate video for the domain, you will see that here it shows you the domain for your field. So when we create the domain and assign it to a certain field, we can come here and see that it define the domain for us. You can also change it from here if you have different domains, or you can create a new domain specifically for this feature class, but also you can create a domain on the geodatabase level as well. Here you can define the default values. So for example, if we said the new field will be data type long, and I want to give it a default value of 100, every time you create a new field, this field here, the new field, will have an attribute value of 100, and that will be the default value for it. Of course, you can change it. If you have the read only not selected, you can change the 100 to any number you want, but it will have a default value of 100. And the length is how many characters will be inside this field. So for example, here the text will take up to 255 characters. If you add any text that is bigger than 255 characters, it will give you an error, but you can change it from here and define the length however you want. So it's always good to keep in mind before you create your data, what kind of fields you want to have, what format, what data type, and what length. And these options will allow you to have a really organized fields and a really organized data for your feature class, and will allow you to save space in your geodatabase. So for example, some people sometimes say I will make this 1000 just in case, but that means that every single feature you create, there is a memory created for this 1000 characters of length for you, either you're gonna use it or not. So always keep in mind to not add large numbers in the length if you are not going to use it, and make sure that you are maintaining your data and the size of your data as much as possible so you can save space into your geodatabase. So that's it for the fields option. So let's close this one. And here we have the calculate, and the calculate will calculate this field using a certain expression. So for example, if I select this field, I can right click also and I say calculate field here, or I can click calculate here, and it will ask me which layer you want to do calculation for which field. So here we have the Orange County cities because we have the Orange County cities table opened. We have the new field because this is the one we have selected right here, but you can change which field you want to do calculation for. And here you choose what type of expression type you want to use. You can use Python 3 or you can use Arcade or Visual Basic. Here we have the Python 3 and Arcade. And Python 3, if you know how to write Python code, you will understand what these functions can do for you. But if you don't know what this Python functions can do for you, you can use Arcade, which is one of the things that we are used to if you are using ArcGIS desktop. And then you can come here and say, I want to calculate this field based on existing value, or I want to create my own values. So for example, I can create this new field based on the average house price. I double click on the average house price divided by the area. So I double click on the area and I say apply. You will see that the calculation will happen. It will take the numbers from here and divide it by the area, and it will show me the value right here. You can calculate your field in so many different ways. You can calculate it using a text. You can calculate it using numbers. You can calculate it using any of these functions right here. And there's so many different functions that give you the ability to calculate your field however you want. And here at the bottom, you have the option to clear this expression or to verify it, because sometimes you might combine a large expression to calculate this field and you want instead to click apply or OK and you get an error. You just need to verify to see if it's valid or not. If it's valid, then you can click OK or apply. When you go down here again, you can save this expression, and now you can also export this expression and save it as a CAL file, and you can share it with anyone, or you can import an expression file using the import button right here. So right now I'll say OK, and that's how you can calculate your field. Here you have select by attribute, and we have a separate video for select by attribute and select by location, but this is another way to open it. You can open it from the attribute table here, or you can actually go here and say select by attribute from here. So you can open select by attribute from here on the top, or you can select it from here as well. The next thing here, we have zoom to. So if you have any selected feature, you will see that the zoom to will be enabled, so you can zoom to the feature that you are selected. And here switch will unselect the selected and select the unselected. So if we click switch, you will see that right now switch the selection for me, and when I say zoom to selected, it will zoom to all the selected features. Here is clear selection, and if you choose any feature and you click delete, it will delete it for you. And here we have a copy, so we can copy any features. So for example, if I select some field here and I click copy, now I have this fields here copied in my clipboard, which means I can go to an Excel sheet and I paste it, and it will look exactly like how I have it in my attribute table. And you can paste it anywhere you want. So this is how you can copy and paste. So now let's clear the selection, and here on the right side here of the attribute table, you have this icon here to show you more options. So when you click on it, you will see a menu that gives you more other options. So you can show the field alias from here, or the field name. When you switch that, it will show either the field name or the field alias. So we usually show the field alias, and that makes it easier for us to read it. And here you have show all fields if you have some fields hidden. So for example, if I have this one here, I can hide the field, and I can come back here and say show all fields. It will show all the fields for me again. So this is one of the other things. When you get a new data, when you open the attribute table, make sure that there's no fields is hidden, so you make sure that you see all the data. So two things to keep in mind when you work on any new data: to check any hidden fields and to check any query definition for the feature layer. And the next option we have here is reset field order, and reset field order will allow you to reset the order if you change the order. So for example, if at some point I want to hold this one and I want to put it between the object ID and the shapefile, now I changed the order of my fields. Now I can come back here and I say reset field order, and it will put everything as it was supposed to be. And the next option here, we have fields view, and this one will open the fields view. The same thing when we click on add, it opens the field view for us. But sometimes you had the add button disabled if you have edits on the map that you didn't save, or if you have edits in the attribute table that you didn't save. You must save it first, and then you will find this button enabled. But in the same time, you can open the fields view at any time from here. So here's the same thing we used to look at. And here we have the option to show domain and subtype descriptions. And when we create a domain or a subtype, we will add description for this specific domain. Here you can enable this description or not. And the description is sometimes very helpful to understand what this domain is for. And here we have joins and relates. So again, you can achieve join and relates from the attribute table, from the layer properties, or right click on the layer and reach the joins and relates. And we have a separate video for the joins and relate. Related data, if you created a join or a relate, or if you have a relationship class between this feature layer and another feature layer, you can see the relations between this feature layer and the other one from this option here. And when we create join or relate, we will check this one and see what can we do with it. Select related records, same thing. If you have anything that is related, it will be selected to you, but we don't have any relationship between this feature class and any other data, so nothing is selected. And here we have select related records. Again, if you have join, relate, or relationship class, and you enable select related records, every time you select a feature or a record here, any related other features will be selected for you as well. Find and replace will allow you to search in any data you have right here. So here, for example, let's search for Costa Mesa, and I press enter, and as you see here, Costa Mesa have been selected for me. Let's choose something else like Santa Ana and enter. You will see that Santa Ana have been selected for me. And find is really helpful tool if you have so many data and so many fields and you don't want to go through each one of them and look for the data. You just use find to find the one you want. And also you have the option to replace it, so it's not gonna just find it, it will replace it for you. So if you have a field that have a value that is repeated and you want to change all of them, and instead of trying to find it and go and replace each one of them, you can just come here and say I want to replace this with Santa Ana 2 and say press enter, and you will see that every field have Santa Ana word will change to the new replacement you have. So let's put it back again by discard this changes, and here you close the find and replace window, and here go to a row number. Again, if you have a lot of data, this is a really good way. For example, if you want to go to the row number like 10,000, or if you have 10 million records and you want to go to row number 9 million, just to, instead of you to scroll down and keep trying to scroll down or trying to do select, you can just type here I want to go to row number let's say here 17 and enter, and it will take you to the row number 17. As we saw here, if we count the rows from the top to the bottom, you will see that this is number 17 right here. And here just show you the city name for the row we are highlighting right now. And here we have the last option is to export, and this one is very similar to export a table. So when you click export table, you will be able to choose which layer you want to export, and here you define the output location and you define the name for your new table, and it will be exported to you as a new table like the one we have right here on the content window. And you can define the expression to make any filter for the data before you export it. But if you want to copy it for Excel, for example, you can just come here and Control A to select all the features, and you just copy it, and then you go to your any Excel and you just paste it, and you have your table as an Excel right away in front of you without the need to do any export. Or we can do export the table to Excel using the geoprocessing tool. But if you want to copy some data from the attribute table right away, this is how you do it. You just select them and then you copy and then you paste it into your Excel file. So that's all the options right here on the right side. And this one, most of the people who come from ArcGIS Desktop to ArcGIS Pro, they missed this one and they wonder where is my attribute table options. This icon right here will give you the same options you have with ArcMap. So let's continue, see what else we have here. So we finished everything on the top here. So now we will continue, see what other options we have right here on the table itself and at the bottom here, but I will continue that in the next video. So we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.